Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. Susan Pierce here with Eden's Living TV, all things naturopathic. We have a guru in the house today. One of my friends, I just love her to death. She is a first generation Haitian American, Gigi Sabbat. Welcome, Regeline Gigi Sabbat. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today.
You are a motivational speaker. You are a survivor of domestic abuse, sexual assault. You're an advocate for that, which is very near and dear to my heart. I am also a survivor of sexual assault and do a lot of advocacy work. You are a motivational speaker, author. You are a speaker for What Women Want. A little shout out to Catherine Marshall out there. So again, welcome. And we're going to be talking about domestic violence and really how, I just want to hear your story and how it shaped who you are and what really you got out of it. How did it empower your life?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll backtrack here and I'll tell you a little bit more about me. My parents came to this country from Haiti around 35 years ago, and they instilled in my brothers and I the importance of obtaining an education. So I did. I attended the University of Central Florida, got my BA in political science, pre-law, and sociology. I interned for the senator during my undergrad studies, and then I pursued a degree in law. While in law school, I became the Student Bar Association, president, which means I oversaw all the organizations in the law school. And at the same time, I was the residential manager for the Human Development Center, which means that I work with clients with mental health issues and disabilities.
I did not know that about you. That's why we vibe so much. You just have this incredible background. I didn't know any of this. Your law background, and it was kind of like God was preparing you before you probably experienced a lot of this. He was giving you the background and foundation so you can launch off of it. This is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I got the shock of my life one day and my life transformed forever. I had just got done studying, and then I was on a phone call with a colleague from the Student Bar Association. I was on the couch and the abuser charged at me, beat me, almost strangled me to death, threw my phone across the room. And I'll never forget when I tried to get back up, I fell flat like a vegetable. And at the time, I didn't understand why, but the domestic violence advocates told me it's because I lost oxygen to the brain. So the fact that I'm still here and I'm able to utilize my skills and my knowledge, I'm truly grateful. But here's the thing, I teach folks about domestic violence and the signs and the red flags to look out for, but also I raise awareness and I educate others that it is not just physical abuse, it's emotional, mental, financial, and then there's PTSD that's tied to it.
Yeah.
And that's why I hosted the global virtual panel of domestic violence survivors to really raise awareness and to educate others about those various aspects. But then also too, we had both men and women on the panel to shed light that this does not just happen to women. Too often in our society, it's taught that this domestic violence only happens to women. That's not the case. It happens to men, and it happens in households as well. In regards to a family member, too often folks forget that aspect as well, but that is included in regards to the folks that are affected by domestic violence.
You know, people don't realize, after, I can say from my own experience, I was with a best friend and did not know that she was massaging the owner of this spa. And he came in and sexually assaulted me as I was on my stomach waiting for a treatment. And it created such stress and trauma that I didn't remember the attack for 3 months. And I don't think people understand the really impact what post-traumatic stress can do. I didn't leave the house for almost 2 years. Every time a man would walk behind me, I would go into fight or flight. Can you address maybe how you address fight or flight, or if you have post-traumatic stress? I'm sure you do. You were assaulted viciously out of nowhere. How did your mind handle that?
Yes. So after everything that happened, I literally got baptized again as an adult. And then I reread the Bible again as an adult. So both I did when I was a child, but I did it again after both instances in regards to domestic violence and sexual assault. And I built a relationship with God, a stronger relationship with God after everything that happened. So here's the thing. I would tell folks to really lean on God, understand that he's there for you and he's there to guide you. And he has a purpose for your life. If you're listening to this message today, step into God's purpose for your life. And remember, you're not alone. Joshua 1:9 states, haven't I commanded you be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid or discouraged, for your Lord, your God is with you wherever you go. He's with you wherever you go. So keep him first in your life. Understand, I was sexually assaulted when I was 8 years old, and then again as an adult after the domestic violence matter. And when it happened as an adult, I was taken from a group of individuals that I was with. It was a man who worked for the company, but from a different state, and he sexually assaulted me.
I'm
But
so
again,
sorry that happened to you too. People don't realize that's a lasting scar you carry. I have trust issues with people. I have major trust issues from my abuse. So my heart goes out to you.
I appreciate you. Yes, and that actually affected my trust in others and my social relationships after I was sexually assaulted when I was 8. It literally affected that for me. So I couldn't trust people. And I kept saying, why, what is going on? And all I can think about was all I had was the vivid images of what happened when I was 8. That's all that kept coming back. And I said, there's nothing I can do. I literally shared for the first time on an interview just the other day that, yeah, it does affect your voice. It does affect your voice because you're saying you don't know, I'm so young at the time. You don't know these things. You don't understand these things. So it's like, what do you do at that point? But I have my voice now and I utilize
Yes.
it
Yes.
to help others understand and raise awareness about what sexual assault is, and also to educate others about it. So that's why I also did a panel on the global virtual panel of sexual assault survivors. And again, it happens to men and it happens to women, and not everyone's story is the same. And it can happen in someone's relationship too. Folks say, oh, well, that's your boyfriend or that's your husband, so you can't be sexually assaulted. But we heard from some of the individuals on the panel. Some of them were sexually assaulted by the person that they were with. We heard so many different stories. So you cannot put everyone in one box. Everyone is truly unique and their stories are unique. And then I also teach people that just because somebody was sexually assaulted does not mean that they're all the same. Understand that if somebody has a history of being sexually assaulted more than once, they're not going to act the same as somebody who was just sexually assaulted. I know for me, when it happened the second time, I became numb to pain. I said, I was in shock.
Yeah, you do get numb. That's how your body I think that's how your body copes. And that's what's so important to hear people like from myself and you to share. You can tell I got upset just hearing your story. It brought back memories. I was messed with as a child, and it changes you. It really changes you. But I have the voice and I recognize that in other people now. And there are so many people that don't want to come forward and talk about this because of the emotions. They don't want to, they want to be numb. And that's why a lot of drug addicts reach. Did you find that to be true? How did you cope? You said you went to the Bible, but when you're teaching people, do you see that addicts pretty much are just people that have unprocessed trauma?
Yes, they haven't faced it head on in
No, they
regards to what
haven't
happened.
faced it.
Yes, and when I say that, I mean you have to understand what happened to you, and you have to realize that you need that healing process.
Yes.
You need that recovery, and until you face that, you're always going to have this cycle where you're leaning on other things or
Yep.
finding an alternative to find a void or something to avoid that pain. But here's the thing, once you face it and you have that healing and you're able to recover, then you can move forward. And if
Yes.
you're listening to this message today, if you're one of those individuals who needs to face it and really go through that recovery process, understand you're not alone. You do have support in your community. Susan and I support you and others in the community. But not just that, there are other people out there that need to hear your story. They need to hear your voice, because your story is going to help save someone's life, and your story is someone else's hope. And that's another reason why I came forward to share my stories as well, because I was told that this can save someone's life.
Yes.
So I said, hey, if that's the case, then I'm all for it. Hence the book, Walk With Me. I talk about finding my voice and about never giving up in regards to the trials and tribulations that I've been faced with in my life. And understand this, walk with me is a spiritual walk. It's not a physical walk. It's a spiritual walk. And I understand my role as God's servant. So I stepped into God's purpose for my life 100%. And I want to help others as well walk
Yes.
with purpose.
You want to be a vessel, and you are a powerful vessel. And I think that's what people, after I was assaulted, I tried to go to a church, I tried to go to counselors. No one understood. And if you have post-traumatic stress, I thought I was going crazy because I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I was nervous all the time. I didn't realize it was post-traumatic stress. No one told me. And trying to get help, I had to go to a crisis center finally to get the help that I needed. And I was put in touch with a post-traumatic stress counselor. But your voice and hearing your story, it can literally save someone else's life, because so many people want to commit suicide after this happens. And what happened to you was not personal. I can promise you, the monster that attacked you was because it was a monster. It was a monster. A lot of people think they've done something. It's like, what did I do? What did I do to deserve that, God? Did you have those conversations after you were assaulted? Like, why, God? Why did you let this happen to me?
I literally was numb. And I'll never forget, for a few days, I had to really process everything, because I was thinking about what happened when I was 8. And I promised myself that I wouldn't allow these things to happen again. I said, I'm going to take all the precautions in my life. And I did that for my entire life. And this is what I teach people today. If something like this happens to you, don't blame yourself, because
Yeah.
it will keep you down. I could have sat there and said, oh, Gigi, well, you should have taken better precautions, all these things. And I at one point, my mind said, I'm not going to be hard on myself, because it's not my fault. That was not my fault. I literally took all the precautions that I could take. So if I had blamed myself, I wouldn't be the woman that you see before you today.
Right.
So literally, it's my faith that helped me.
And you're not a victim, you're a victor. I think a lot of people, when they get caught in that victimhood, they don't know how to get out of it. They truly do not know how to go from victor to a champion. And it is facing that trauma. And like you were numb. You had some physical injuries. I mean, he choked you almost, you were unconscious, right? Did you have any cuts or bruises? I mean, he beat you, right?
That's right. I couldn't get up to get my phone that was thrown across the room. I still have the images of the phone, the mark that was left on the wall from the phone being thrown across the wall. And yeah,
Why did he attack you? What triggered him? You were on the phone, you got off, and then he just lunged. You know what triggered? Something inside of him triggered him. So obviously he was probably a product of abuse. Well, obviously.
Here's the thing. I never grew up around abuse. I didn't understand these things. I literally learned about domestic violence and everything that's tied with it and abuse after the fact. So I don't know why that person snapped all of a sudden. But what I do know now from what I've learned and from my research studies is that an abuser's character trait is tied to a narcissistic character trait.
Yes.
So that's why I included that in my book, Walk With Me, so individuals can understand the characteristic traits to look out for in regards to a narcissist, because it needs to be taught in our education system.
Yes.
So if we intervene in a positive manner, then we can have positive preventions and solutions.
I teach, actually, I do a lot of teaching on narcissism. That was the person affiliated who got me assaulted was a narcissist. And I really believe from all of my research that I've done that narcissistic is a spirit attached to the Balaam Jezebel spirit. And Jezebel wants to kill, destroy, and take everything you love. That's the spirit that attacked both of us. And when you recognize that spirit, I would love to have you back to come back and teach on narcissism and the red flags, because if you don't recognize the red flags in relationships or even with family and don't have boundaries, you can catch yourself being gaslighted and all the beautiful things that narcissists bring to your life. I'm being very funny because it's all pain, and it's pain. They bring pain.
Yes, and then there's stonewalling as well as gaslighting.
Yeah, and the silent treatment. It's all about control when you're talking about this. So you have your Walk With Me interviews that we've done. I've been privileged enough to interview with you. It was a great, great time together. So you have gone from a victim to victor, and you're empowering other women. What are some of the other resources? Because you had a resource center at one time. You were the CEO, let's see, the founder of Life Service Center. Are you still doing the service center, or are you mainly just interviewing and speaking now?
Yes, ma'am. So the Life Service Center of America, LLC, is still up and running. And we have been up and running for about 2 years now. And so what that is, we have two different aspects. One, we have our motivational programs and courses that are taught by me. And I also provide life coaching and confidence coaching. So I meet with my clients weekly and I help them achieve their goals. And then the second aspect is our business service navigator. So what that is, it allows our members to locate the resources that they need in a reasonable time. So have you ever traveled or you ever looked up a service and you need it in a timely manner? And I'm not talking about just any service. I mean, a service of quality. So that's what this business service navigator is going to allow you to do. And so I've partnered with business owners from all over the world to provide their services to our members once we launch here. And then now we also are launching our LSCOA speakers so that are going to be out there. So anyone who's spoken on our stage, they are now an LSCOA speaker. So we're going to do that launch within the next few days here. So super excited about that.
Congratulations. I would love to be, if you ever need a speaker or teacher, I support you in any way. If you ever want to come back on your platform, if you have events, please let me know and we will absolutely 100% support you and do some marketing for you. Your work is phenomenal. I can't remember, I think from What Women Want, we kind of have the same circle of powerful women, entrepreneurs and men out there. What Women Want have men too. But it's amazing. You really do kind of have to flock with the birds that birds of a feather flock together. And if you want to become empowered, and if you want to understand how to walk through traumas and how to become the gift, how to really utilize the gift inside of you, I think that you're phenomenal in getting the potential in people, developing that potential, and then teaching them how to give that to the world. And that's a gift. We need more people. We need more Gigi's out there in the world. We really do, really do. So you talked about it being a first generation Haitian. We talked about being sexually assaulted and beaten. Let's talk about, since we have a few minutes here, we've got about 10 more minutes. Maybe let's talk about some of those red flags when you're even in a relationship in business or families or friendships or dating. Let's talk about some of those red flags that you might need to look at.
Yes. So definitely, I would say if that individual, how you'll know you're dealing with a narcissist is they don't respect your boundaries. They don't respect your time. They will try to intervene any way, shape, or form. They are an individual who has their own agenda. So they won't necessarily hear what you're saying. They will avoid it. They will disregard what you're saying and state something else. And then that's when the gaslighting begins, because they will try to make you believe something else when you know for sure what you just saw and what you just heard. So
they're like, no, it didn't happen that way, or no, you're too sensitive. That's gaslighting. You know what happened. These people are master manipulators.
That's right. That's right. And then two, some of the signs, I would say that if you ever have your gut feeling that's rumbling and it's trying to tell you something, listen to it. I tell you what, there were so many times my gut feeling, I had this instinct and I said, something isn't right. Something isn't right. It's like it's trying to warn me of something. So if you're listening to this today, listen to your gut instincts. It's warning you, you're in danger.
It's your intuition. It's those little hairs on the back of your neck that stand up. Right before I was assaulted, I actually had those hairs stand up, and I wish I had listened and left the office.
Yes. Yes. So definitely listen. For me, I would have those gut instincts, but then I had to run to class. So I was so busy at the time. I'll never forget. I was just so busy. And when I say busy, very productive. So I had to literally put off that gut feeling. I would be like, I have to go now. I have to go now. So literally, if you're listening to this today, it doesn't matter what your background is, what your title is. This can happen to anyone. Yes, it can happen to doctors. It can happen to attorneys. It can happen to educators. It can happen to someone in social work. Yes, it can happen to anyone. So listen to your gut instincts and pay attention to those red flags.
They say your gut is your second brain. Your gut actually is where your immune system is. So that intuition, that brain gut connection, that spiritual connection is very real. And I tell you, You have to be aware of the 5 people you hang around too. That's one of my tips I want to leave with people. If you hang around people that reflect what you believe in and what you want to accomplish in life, it's kind of synergistically. But if you allow people that are alcoholics or abusers or narcissists or Jezebels, you have to realize they're going to impact your life in a negative way, and they can absolutely get you sexually assaulted. They can make you lose your job. They can destroy friendships and relationships. You need to listen to that gut. And when that gut says, be careful or something is not right here, you need to listen. I think we're frozen there, Lynn. There it goes. Oh, are we unfrozen here? The wonders of technology. Did I lose you, Gigi? Did I lose you, Gigi? Come on back in. Well, we're trying to get Gigi back again. Gigi was telling you, you know, they have their own agenda. They're not going to listen to anything that you have to offer or say. They're going to gaslight you and say that this is not the reality, or you're too sensitive, or that's not what happened. Those are all red flags. Oh, we got you back. I was trying to recap here, but yeah, I just was saying, if your gut and your instincts say something's not right here and something you need to leave or you need to get away, listen to that gut. It can save your life.
That's right. That's right. And if you're listening to this message today, don't stay down. No matter what happens to you in this lifetime, get back up and keep moving forward. Understand you're not what happens to you. You're not your trials, your tribulations, your challenges. Anything outside of you, don't blame yourself. If you took all the precautions possible to avoid these type of things from happening, and if something may happen, again, don't blame yourself. Continue to move forward with God first in your life.
Yes. God is what saved me. I actually had someone attack me recently and say that they didn't need a savior, that I was weak. I was like, my savior is what my strength is. It's how I get up out of bed and how I stay sober. So get with God, talk to him. If you've been abused, if you feel alone, God's never going to leave you. He's never going to leave you. He will never forsake you. But if you were abused as a child, I was abused at 3 to 6 years old. And then again, let's see, 5 years ago, I was in my 40s. Whoops. Looks like I have to admit you that. But if this happened to you as a child, make sure you tell someone. You know, go to someone and say, look, this happened. I never talked about it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Because I promise you, unprocessed traumas, unprocessed emotions can manifest as disease. Wouldn't you agree with that, Gigi?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Yes.
absolutely right.
Face it and not numb out. So any parting words, Gigi, and let us know where we can find you, what your website is, what the name of your book is, and her podcast, guys, or Walk With Me. It's a great series. Follow her on LinkedIn and Facebook, but go ahead and tell us where we can find you.
Yes, you can find me on my website, Life Service Center of America, LLC.com. And you can get a free sample of my books when you sign up today.
Oh, that'd be great. I'll have to get you to sign me one when I see you. I'd love to have a signed copy. But thank you so much, Gigi, for coming in today. I'll be following your podcast. You're welcome here anytime you want to come back. I support you fully. And I just ask God, I'm going to leave us with a little prayer, and then I'm going to come back and know our sponsor. But I'm going to pray of us real quick, if that's okay.
Yes.
Father, I just come and I just thank you for this time with the fellowship of my sister, Gigi, and I ask a hedge of protection around her. I ask for blessings, Father. I ask you to just continue to let her be a vessel and a wonderful force for you. Thank you for this ability for us to podcast with technology and touch other people's lives. If people have found that they've been sexually assaulted or they're in an abusive situation, Father, let them reach out for help. Let them know that your loving arms will wrap around them and that you will never forsake them, and that they are loved and they are needed in this world. In Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
All right. And I just want to thank my sponsor. This is EMF Solutions, guys. Radiation 5G. It can affect your DNA. If you're constantly, like my phone right here, I've got a little chip here, because I probably just turned off my recording with, yes, I did. That's all right. turned off my recording, but you have little chips on your phone or your routers and your smart box. And I even wear protection, because if I'm around a lot of people on their cell phone, or if I'm out under major like solar panels or wires, my ears start ringing and my heart starts palpitating. That's radiation, guys, and you can get radiation poisoning. So it's very important. If you want to be an empowered woman and make money, well, you better make sure your body will hold up to get you to spend the money. So protect your body through radiation. Is EMF Solutions. If you'd like some information on this, you can email me at edensliving@gmail.com. I usually call on chiropractors and cancer clinics, but I'm trying to open up this to my podcast audience. I don't have a website this because I'm an independent consultant of this company, but just email me and we can get you some products. Again, Gigi, thank you so much for taking time out and for sharing your story and your wisdom. And thank you for being a powerful woman for God. Bless you.
Likewise.
All right, stop here. Thank you very much, guys. Y'all have a blessed day.